All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's policy session of the Phoenix City Council for June 21st, 2016. We have two agenda items, but they are both very meaty agenda items on today's agenda. We'll begin today's policy session with council information and follow-up requests. I'll now turn to members of the City Council to see if they have any information that they'd like to provide our city manager or the public, and any follow-up requests. Vice Mayor, please.
Thank you. Councilman Nowakowski and I had the pleasure of hosting a community meeting for Levine last week that was well attended, and a lot of thanks to our police officers for their work, as well as to Betty Fairfax High School and Phoenix Union High School District for hosting us. And coming up soon, Councilwoman Pastor and I, about a week from tomorrow, will be hosting an immigrant and refugee youth town hall at Gateway Community College from 1 to 5 p.m. on Wednesday, June 29th, where we can talk about issues important to young people and connect them with resources we have available as part of our city's My Brother's Keeper initiative. So I want to thank everyone who came out to several recent events here in District 8. We had the pleasure of celebrating World Refugee Day, an event where young people from countries and cultures around the world come together, and we participated in workshops where they learned how to be more engaged with the community. Thank you to Baltz Elementary School for hosting us for that. Our community forums as part of the Aviation Land Reuse Strategy Initiative are continuing in District 8 with a meeting tonight at 6 p.m. at Wesley Community Center and tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the Broadway Heritage Neighborhood Resource Center. We're continuing to get lots of good feedback from the community about how to repurpose this land and honor its history, and we want you to come down and continue to help us do a good job with this important task. On June 30th, there'll be a community open house regarding the Phoenix Biomedical Campus Master Plan, which will be at the old Phoenix Union High School Auditorium or Pulliam Auditorium, depending on what era you got to know it in, at 550 East Van Buren at 5:30 p.m. So please come out and give the city and our university partners feedback on this exciting downtown Phoenix asset. And as always, feel free to call our office at 602-262-7493 for more information about any and all of these meetings. And we have an exciting addition to the District 8 team this week. I want to welcome Ana Lopez to the District 8 team, who will be a council aide. She is a District 8 resident, and like Councilman Waring has left the Arizona State Legislature for a better form of government. And she continues what is now becoming a proud tradition in the District 8 office. She is a Sun Devil alum. So please welcome Ana.
Congratulations on joining the District 8 team. Councilman Waring fully realizes a better form of government, but it in fact is. Councilman Waring, you have a council information or follow request?
I do. On next Wednesday night, we're going to have the airport executive director, Jim Bennett, is going to come out to answer questions, including the overflight issue with the FAA, lots of new data. So if you're interested, please come. You don't have to be from District 2. So if you're watching this and you're interested in this subject, might be a good chance to ask questions. There's a new transportation plan at the ground transportation plan, at the airport. But again, if you have questions, this is a good time to ask them. It is going to be at the Paradise Valley Community Center, which is just north of Paradise Valley High School, which is on the northwest corner of 40th Street and Bell. It's at 6 p.m. next Wednesday night, which is June 29th. So hope to see you all there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Waring. Councilman Nowakowski.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to congratulate Los Osos Block Watch. This morning, the group actually graduated from the Neighborhood Leadership Studio, previously known as the Neighborhood College. I'd like to thank Public Works and John Trujillo and the NSD for providing resources to all of our block watches out there and creating such a great program. Also, I'd like to thank all the sponsors for the Heroes Lane. We have a Heroes Lane down Baseline Road from 35th Avenue to 51st, where we have a poster or a banner up on the streetlights of all 49 police officers and firefighters that have given the ultimate sacrifice, and also down town from 7th Avenue to about 15th Avenue on Washington. So if you haven't had a chance to check out Heroes Lane, bring your kids out, learn more about the police officers and firefighters. And they'll be up until July 6th. And I'd like to thank all those sponsors that made that possible. Also, save the date. We have the 4th of July celebrations going out there in Maryville, Light Up the Sky. That's Friday, July 1st. At Maryville Baseball Stadium, it starts about 6:30. So we ask everybody come on out, get out there early, get a good seat, and check out the fireworks. Also, the fabulous 4th of July, that's out at Indian School Park. It starts about 6. Make sure you bring a lot of water and make sure you don't get dehydrated out there. And also save the date on July 1st, which is Friday, not this Friday, but the following Friday, from 9:30 in the morning till 11:30 in the evening, till 11:30 in the morning. We're going to have Itsy Bitsy Beach Party, which Cigna sponsors every year for the last 29 years. So bring out your kids, get free sunglasses, learn about water safety, and it's free for kids under 6 years old. So come out and register and be a part of that. And also, individuals that want to come out to the Burton Bar Library, we have College Depot. You can learn about scholarships, financial aid, and how to register to any of our universities or community colleges. So we really encourage people to come out and use College Depot. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Nowakowski. Councilman DeCizio, please.
I'll just keep it very brief. Just 3 quick items. One, we have a new chief of staff in our office, Rana Riches. She came from the city prosecutor's office and does an amazing job. I'm just stunned at how incredible she is within just the first week. She's just excelled at everything she's done. She's not here today because I forgot to invite her because we were running out the door so fast. Rana, are you here? Will you stand up? Good. Stand up. Stand up. We have to. I mean, she's amazing. What are you, 32? Attorney? Okay, but...
Well, you know, you don't have to answer that.
women.
Well, chair of this meeting, you do
There's
not
a
have to answer
potential
that
HR
question.
violation
Councilman, can you-
there.
Welcome to the politically incorrect office. Okay, sorry. But, you know, I didn't know you were here, but so I'm going to not say anything else. No, I'm just kidding. But no, she is just amazing. She's done an incredible job. First week, she's been able to hit the road running. I mean, she's actually communicated with me on Father's Day, back and forth. I think we probably sent 4 or 5 messages to each other. That's just an unusual thing for people to do. It just happens she's got kids and everything else and was able to communicate with me on things that were going to be happening this week. Second, I'd like to thank Deb Stark, our new council member, Councilwoman Stark. Deb and I go back quite a long ways. Used to be in a more different relationship, a little bit more different, council to, head of a department, but looking forward to serving with you. I think you're going to bring a really good tenor to this council. You're always great to work with. You've been always fun to work with, even when you were yelling at me at times, but that's okay. That's the relationship we've had. It's almost like a brother-sister kind of thing. And but no, I do appreciate the fact that you've been there. No, I won't ask you.
Okay, thank you. Just want to make sure.
How old are you, though? No, I'm just kidding. Just
32.
Kidding. 32. And third, I want to acknowledge the fact that tomorrow at the council meeting, we're going to be having a group of Boy Scouts coming through. We're going to meet with them ahead of time and have them sit through one of the council meetings. Should be interesting. I'm excited for them. I think it's great for kids to come out here and learn a little bit about how their government works, because at the end of the day, they're going to be in charge. And a quick story on that, Harry Mitchell, who was one of my teachers, people don't realize that, just an incredibly good guy. Even though he was a Democrat, I'm a Republican, we turned out to be friends over time. But he was a fantastic teacher, and he forced us to go to these council meetings in Tempe at the time. I grew up in Tempe. And that's where he instilled in a lot of us into these leadership qualities from today. So I think it's good to get people to do things that are outside their comfort zone, especially for children, because at the end of the day, those same children are going to be running our lives. And I think it's time for us to start training them and showing them and letting them work through the things. And don't be so resistant to letting them be able to give their advice and their ideas. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman. Councilman Valenzuela.
Thanks, Mayor. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome Jake Swanson to the Phoenix District 5 team. Jake, will you please stand? And please indulge me, let's give him a round of applause. He deserves it.
Do I ask how old he is?
No,
Okay,
we won't
all right.
ask, but Jake's a great young man. He comes to us through Hands-On Greater Phoenix, and he's in AmeriCorps Vista. Just recently graduated from ASU's School of Sustainability, and we're very excited to have him on the team, and already he's making an impact for the district and for our city. So welcome, Jake. I've said this several times, and we're going to continue to move down this path. The future of our economy depends on our ability to attract, retain, and especially develop talent. And I'm excited that the Palo Verde Library in Maryville, through the Summer Youth Program, this is a partnership with Phoenix Parks and our libraries. We're offering coding classes, computer science and coding classes for summer youth. And in the first week, 84 children have come through. There are 4 daily programs, and you can learn more by visiting the Phoenix Public Library's website. In addition to that, one of our partners, Cahoots, currently is having a great program, the Summer of Innovation. As we speak, there are 35 young ladies, middle school and high school age young ladies are learning to code at Cahoots through the foundation. Some of you who follow on social media probably seen, the epic lip sync battle that we had. It's the second annual epic. I know it sounds kind of silly, and it is. It was a lot of fun, but we raised thousands of dollars, and that's helping to put these types of programs on. And so I want to thank Cahoots and the foundation for doing what you do best and just helping to educate our kids. I want to thank everyone who came out to the District 5 Maryville Pancake Breakfast at Station 25. I want to thank our firefighters and the Valley Hispanic Bomberos volunteers who came out to help put that on, and every member of the District 5 team who was out there, who worked very hard. Together we were able to have pancakes and coffee and just had a good time with over 100 of our neighbors there in District 5, and it was good to see. And we are planning more when it gets cooler, of course. Lastly, I'd like to encourage everyone to support the Cass water relief effort. You can take bottled water to any Phoenix Fire station, or you can go to heatreliefaz.org to help. The Arizona summer heat can be deadly. It proves to be deadly, and this is just about helping our homeless neighbors with a bottle of water. Most of us are fortunate enough to see a bottle of water as a necessity, which it is. But there are far too many people among us who view a bottle of water as a luxury. And this is just about, just helping out our fellow neighbor. I want to thank Cass, I want to thank the Phoenix Fire Department and Local 493 for coming together. As you can imagine, it's quite the effort to take bottled water to any one of 60 firehouses, and at some point that will make its way over to Cass. So I want to encourage everyone to contribute if you're able to. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Valenzuela. Councilwoman Pastor?
Well, this morning, my morning started off great, like all mornings, but it was special this morning because Mayor Stanton and I had a coffee chat at Changing Hands, and we had a great conversations with all of our neighbors, and we were solving all the world city problems at that moment. And so thank you to all our neighbors that came out and gave us the concerns and also gave us some solutions. Councilman Valenzuela and I are working on, or will be hosting a Camp Franklin, and that's for police and fire and the Franklin High School to engage girls in leadership in fire and police areas, careers. And so it's a 4-day camp, and we're pretty much full. Maybe have a little bit, few slots, but that's what we're doing. And as you had heard earlier, Vice Mayor Gallego and I are having an immigrant and refugee youth forum at Gateway Community College. I also want to welcome Myra Belvin. She graduated from Indiana University. She happens not to be here because she's at a Block Watch meeting, and she's serving District 4. She is our Vista for District 4, and she's representing us well. And as Councilman Nowakowski had mentioned, we have the Light Up Sky on July 1st, and then we have our July 4th at Indian Still. So hope to see everybody out there. Lots of water, sunblock, hats, everything. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Pastor. Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have much to report because I'm pretty new, but I want to mention this Saturday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at the Melrose Paradise Recreation Club, North 32nd Welcome Summer Party. And then I'm going to do my first meet and greet Thursday, June 30th, 7:30 in the morning at North Mountain Visitors Center. We're going to have Phoenix Fire there to talk about Take a Hike, Do It Right. Given the summer and people still like to hike, I think they'll probably have some real good advice to share with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Stark. Very important information regarding summer hiking. Councilwoman Pastor, did you want to rebuttal?
I do. I forgot something. I wanted to demonstrate, and I hope the camera can see this. This is for Hollis. He had gone to Germany for treatment. He is doing much better. He received his last treatment, and so we're hoping that he is coming home soon. And then also for Harmony, who is Paul and Carrie Mosier's daughter, who was suffering from a tumor, and her tumor has shrank, and they were able to do surgery on her. They're constituents of my district, and I just wanted to give them a shout out for that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Why don't I go, and then Councilwoman Williams, you have some special recognition, so you can go after that. Mr. Manager, our city got some very positive national press recently. On the Sunday New York Times, in the national section, a very, very positive article about the city of Phoenix, what's going on with urban redevelopment, especially in downtown, in the heart of the city. I just want to say thank you, particularly to our two council members that represent downtown, Councilwoman Gallego and Councilman Nowakowski, but all members of the City Council, because to have a great center city, have a great downtown, it takes all of us supporting it, and it's great that nationally we're starting to get some recognition by how far we've come in such a short period of time. Very, very exciting things are happening. And I know he's watching. Mayor Gordon lost his mom last week. Judy Gordon, Mayor Phil Gordon's mother, who was a great city leader in her own right, had served over 20 years on the Human Services Commission, used to be the Senior Services Commission, but merged with Human Services. She was an advocate for senior services, an advocate for those less financially fortunate in our city, that they get their rightful amount of city services, appropriate amount of city services. She was super active with the McMurray Block Watch in the center part of the city in District 6 for so many years. So she's a great active citizen, just kind of Phoenix's mom, if you will, and she'll be greatly missed. Mayor Gordon, I know you're watching. We're thinking of you and praying for you and your family. And Judy Gordon was a great lady here in our community. Councilman Williams, you're next.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple brief announcements, and then I have a presentation I'd like to make. I want to remind everyone that the District 1 breakfast is this Friday, 7:30, at the Radisson Phoenix North Hotel at Metro Center. Our guest speaker is going to be Chief Yonner. Second thing is this Saturday is June 25th at Deer Valley Park, 19th Avenue in Walhalla, is After Dark in the Park. And it's our early 4th of July celebration. And there'll be all kinds of live music, booths, water slides, and about 8:45 will be the fireworks. So we want everyone to come out, bring your family, enjoy the evening. And then I want to remind everyone that in Phoenix, all animals have to have food, water, and shelter. so that keep them out of the sun, keep them cool, and please don't take them hiking up the mountain trails. Dogs perspire through their feet. They can't stay cool if they're going up a mountain, and so please don't take them there. Now to the good part. Every year, the Washington Elementary School District has had, well, at least for the last few years, have had a community food drive. And I have brought some people down who are always winners, but they're especially winners on this. This drive is now the second largest food collection in Arizona, only topped by the mail carriers. Of the 32 schools, 11 schools collected more than 5 pounds per student. 4 schools collected more than 10 pounds per student. 2 schools collected more than 20 pounds per student. But I will tell you, Sunburst Elementary collected the most of any school with 21,850 pounds, which is 34.42 pounds per student.
Wow.
The entire drive collected 146,311 pounds of food.
Incredible.
I want to congratulate the principal of Sunburst Elementary, Rhonda Warren. I want to thank Pure Heart Church, Tracy Bill. I don't know if you made it, but Dr. Paul Stanton and senior pastor Dan Steffen had a sumo wrestling match.
There are pictures to prove it. That is correct.
To help bring food in. That's how you got in the door. And the Pure Heart Church sponsored it and donated the space. Actually, there were over 50 community partners. It is always an exciting event. It's very competitive amongst the schools. And I was so impressed that they took the poundage, the weight, the number of donations, whether it was cans or it was boxes, whatever, and made it into math lessons for different ages. It was very, very impressive. I want to congratulate them, but I would like to invite Rhonda and Tracy and Jill to come right over here, because I'd like to give them a certificate of appreciation.
Yeah. Congratulations, Washington Elementary School District, for this amazing partnership with St. Mary's Food Bank. Thank you, Councilman Williams, for mentioning them. You did mention my brother, Paul. Obviously, we're not talking about people's ages at this meeting, but he is my older brother. Make sure he just looks younger. All right. Next on the agenda is a call for an executive session. Vice Mayor?
Mayor, in accordance with properly posted notice and agenda, I move that the City Council, pursuant to Arizona Revised Statutes, Section 38-431.02A, meet in executive session on Tuesday, September 13, 2016, at 1 p.m. in the East Conference Room, 12th floor of the Phoenix City Hall building at 200 West Washington in Phoenix, Arizona.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Next, report or budget updates by our city manager. Mr. City Manager. All right, our next portion of our agenda concerns an update on transportation 2050 improvements. Obviously, the voters of this community supported Proposition 104, which provided significant resources that we can upgrade our transportation infrastructure within the city of Phoenix, light rail buses, bikeability, walkability, dial-a-ride, and street improvements. This council then appointed a citizen committee to make sure that the resources got spent right and quickly. That committee is chaired by our former congressman, great congressman, who allowed us the federal resources with his leadership to move forward with our existing very successful light rail and other major transportation improvements in the city. No major advancement has happened in our city without the leadership of Congressman Ed Pastor, and he was kind enough in his post-Congress career to accept this assignment. So I'll hand it over, I guess, to Mario first, and then the congressman and other leaders of our staff to talk about Transportation 2050 improvements. Mario.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It is really a great privilege to be here before you today, less than 6 months after Proposition 104 became effective to advance considerable improvements in our transportation system in Phoenix. Thanks to the leadership of the Mayor and City Council, the strong foresight of Phoenix voters, and the excellent work of our dedicated Citizens Transit Commission and city staff, we are moving forward with major improvements to bus and dial-a-ride service. We're progressing forward in the next round of our light rail extensions and advancing investment in city street and traffic signal infrastructure. These improve not only the quality of life for residents, but also to our existing businesses, our future businesses that are going to be in Phoenix that rely on streets and transit for their employees to get to and from work. It's important to visitors and to our ability to attract large events like the Super Bowl and the College Football Championship and the NCAA Final Four. We certainly have much work ahead, but today is an outstanding beginning. It's my pleasure to be joined by former Congressman Ed Pastor, who is, as you mentioned, Mayor, is the chair of our Citizens Transportation Commission. Also, a couple other commission members are here with us today. Vice Chair Rick Neymark is in the audience, as well as Phil Pangrazio, who is the president of Ability 360. Here to present with me are Maria Hyatt, Public Transit Director, Albert Santana, Assistant to the City Manager, overseeing the city's light rail program, and Ray Dovalina, our Street Transportation Director. And so we'll soon kick off the presentation, but we have the honor of Congressman Pastor here to address the City Council on the improvements that we're talking about today.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. First of all, I want to thank you, Mayor, for the appointment to the Commission. I have to tell you that since January, the Commission has been meeting, and thank the staff who has been very professional and very patient as they have briefed us, the Commission, and have informed us and educated us about the different issues that concern the proposition. So I want to thank the staff publicly for the fine work that they have done for the Commission and has led us through some issues, but we have done well. I have to tell you that the quality of commissioners that some you appointed and some were appointed by the mayor have great interest in this issue. The attendance is very high. The discussions are very lengthy at times, but we discuss the issues the best we can and then come to conclusions. This afternoon, you're going to have reports on the issues that we have discussed, and I have to tell you that in all the issues and all the recommendations, the vote was unanimous, and if there were any dissents, they were minor, maybe one or two people, or one or two commissioners who dissented. I only have one request, Mayor Stanton, that after each issue or report is given by the staff, if you would allow me to bring to you and the council at least some issues that were brought up so that at least you will be informed of the commission debate and concerns they have, and we'll go forward.
We'll do so. Thank you.
Thank you. And that is my presentation, Mr. Chairman.
Well, thank you, Congressman Pastor. As a chair, I can tell you that it is wonderful to have somebody who cares so much about our community. So thank you, Congressman. When we were out talking to the community in advance of putting the Transportation 2050 program together, we heard several themes. In fact, 3 of them we heard very loudly and clearly. The first one was hours and frequency of service. Our community said, you know, we like what you've got, but we need more of it. We need it more frequently. We need it longer hours. We needed to be able to get to our jobs that are on second shift instead of having to wake up, you know, a spouse to, sorry, reverberation, sorry about that, to pick us up in the middle of the night when our shift gets over. We heard these stories about needing to get to schools in order to get, you know, to better themselves. We listened to all of those, and we've taken that very strongly into consideration. So we're very excited to talk today about how we're implementing what we heard from our community. They also said shade. Now you can imagine on a day like today, that is a very important item. They want shade at all of our bus stops, and we will be following through in providing shade at each one of those bus stops. We have half of them shaded today, and we're going to make sure that we get all of the rest of them shaded just as quickly as we possibly can. And the third theme we heard was we want technology. And very specifically, you know, some of the things that they asked for was they want to be able to have reloadable smart cards. Instead of having a paper pass that then they have to throw away, why not be able to just load one back up? Or another option is being able to use your phone to be able to serve as your pass. And again, this is another thing that we heard from them and we will be implementing. But today we're going to talk specifically about hours of operation and frequency on our bus service. So currently, our bus operates from roughly 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. With the proposed changes that we're asking for your approval today, we're asking to increase it by 3 hours every day of the week. This is the first step. We will be talking to you in April about the next step in this hours of operation. But this is a huge step for us in the first place, and our community is very excited by this. So another thing that we heard, as I said, they wanted the hours of operation, but they also wanted the frequency. So think about a Saturday or a Sunday. And on this one, this is the Route 1, which is the Washington. And think about it that you walk up to the bus stop at 12:30, you missed it. And you have to wait a whole hour for that bus to come. We are addressing that immediately with these changes. So we are no route, so all 44 routes in Phoenix will be provided at 30-minute frequency or less. When we come to you, and we come to you every 6 months to talk about our bus service, one of the things that we are focused on is making sure that whatever we're proposing, we're talking to our community about. So we go out and we ask them, is this the right thing that we're doing? So when we were out talking to the community about these bus service frequencies and hours of operation, we got hugs. Most of the time when we go out there, you know, why aren't you doing more? This time we had hugs, we had thank yous, we had handshakes, and it was very exciting to be able to have that reaction back from our community, which told us that we heard what they said and we were following through with it, all within the first year of the program being implemented. Okay, I probably did something there. Nick's gonna fix it for me, thank goodness. So the other thing that we've been dealing with, and you'll get to see the slide in just a minute, and I think Councilwoman Williams will attest to this. So one of the things that we've heard from our dial-a-ride passengers for decades is when, let's say I'm going to my doctor's appointment in Mesa and I live in Phoenix, because we have a regional dial-a-ride service with different providers, so when I get to the border of Tempe, I have to get out of my dial-a-ride vehicle and East Valley Dial-a-Ride comes and picks me up. We're very excited to tell you that that is going away effective July 1st of this year. So truly regional dial-a-ride service. Councilwoman Williams, I think, will probably have something to say about this because she's the one that I hear from the most from our passengers who have that wait. But I'm so glad to tell you that that will be gone as of July 1st.
Meaning Phoenix Dial-A-Ride will be able to take that passenger all the way to their East Valley appointment and back?
Absolutely, Mayor.
That's great, that's great.
Yeah. So other dial-a-ride enhancements we heard from our community was really focused around technology. So what they wanted to was, they asked us, instead of having to call an operator during the times that you have your customer service center open, couldn't I just get on my phone or my computer and be able to make my appointment? Well, we're going to be implementing that through this, thanks to Transportation 2050. Another thing that we heard from them is, gosh, I forgot to make it and I don't have a computer or a phone, but how about I can make a phone call and just make the appointment through the phone service, an interactive voice response system. We're going to be implementing that too as one of those technology improvements for our dial-a-ride passengers. And then finally, you see the picture of the cab. So the other thing that we want to be able to do is make sure that we're providing our service as efficiently as possible. So when we have overflow trips, it'd be a whole lot more efficient sometimes to send the person in a cab. And so through our new contract with MV, they also will have a subcontract with Discount Cab in order to provide those services when it makes sense. So the community impact. I could tell you what we hear from our passengers every day, but I think it's better when you hear it from them.
I'm really excited for the bus service changes because living without a car in downtown Phoenix, having an option to take the bus, another transit option, will just help me live a car-free life in Phoenix even easier.
I need this bus extension to where it runs later hours and this and that, so yes, so I can handle a lot of my business.
Added bus services will help me in a sense of being able to work later so I can continue to save money to provide for my son's education and to be able to save up for a home one day.
Perhaps work a later shift, being able to get a ride back home, be able to go to events, sporting events, concerts perhaps that I really wouldn't be able to go to before.
With these new added bus services, I can get to my appointments on time and get to more events that I want to be able to get to.
So, as I told you, when we were out there talking to our community members, these were actually people who came up to us and told us what it means to them. We followed back up with them and asked them if they would be willing to be on a video, and they said yes. And I also need to mention that the first person who spoke, Quinn Wisson, is one of our Citizens Transportation Commission members. So today, I'm very excited to ask for your approval on providing regional dial-a-ride service that doesn't require a transfer, as well as in October 24th, 2016, to have transit service hours and frequency improvements. Any questions?
All right, thank you very much. Congressman Pastor asked for the opportunity to kind of give some context based upon the discussion and debate at the Citizens Transit Commission meetings. Congressman?
On the issue of extending the hours and having greater frequency, the commission was pretty much unanimous that it was needed and supported the recommendation. Also, on the dial-a-ride, we were very supportive that now a person from Phoenix who had a doctor's appointment in Gilbert or wherever were able to go and not have to connect at the city limits and be able to meet their appointment on time, and so it made it convenient, and so the commission was very supportive on both issues. In the discussion of the increasing the hours, the issue came up on customer service. As you probably know, and we were led to believe that if someone wants to ride a bus and would like to know how that bus is coming and how soon it's coming to the shaded bus stop, that they can contact the transit centers and they're able to get an idea of when the next bus is coming, especially the route that they may be interested in, how soon it's coming, so that way they can gauge when there'll be a connection. Well, the transit centers work from, I think, from 9 to 5, and by the extension of the hours, we were concerned of how people, even today after 5 o'clock, would be able to connect and get information on how they would connect. So it's an issue that the commission would be happy to look at and bring back recommendations, because we think it's, as you extend the hours, that the people who are now riding in those extended hours be able to communicate and find out how soon or how easy or what their situation is in terms of connecting to the route that's going to take them from where they're at and where they want to end. The other issue that came up, the policy right now for bus ridership is to encourage people who want to ride the bus to get their bus fare at a transit station or approximately 200 other service, Circle K's or other areas, markets, where they can get a bus fare. If, for whatever reason, the person cannot go to the transit center that's only open 5 days a week from 8 to 5, or be able to have the ability to go to a location they can buy a bus fare, if they board a bus or want to board a bus without that prepaid bus fare, there's a surcharge of $2. And there was some concern with the commission members that the people that may be affected in a more negative manner will be the people that can least afford those $2. And we thought that possibly it may be something that the council and the mayor would have an interest in us looking at that to see if there was an alternative to that situation.
Thank you very much, Congressman. Maria, on that first issue, obviously the buses have GPS or being outfitted with GPS. How close are we to getting that, where that information, even without a human discussing with a human being, you'll be able to quickly gather that information about how close your bus is to your stop?
Yeah, Mayor, we have GPS on all of our transit vehicles, and through the Next Ride service, our passengers can find out where the bus is, where the next bus is coming. It's not real-time data, it's scheduled data on the Next Ride, but the Next Ride is at every single bus stop, but it does require that you have a phone. So what the Congressman says about the hours of operation for our customer service, we are currently working on that in discussion, especially based on the comments that our Citizens Transportation Commission had, and we would love to return back to the Citizens Transportation Commission with some options.
Mayor?
Thank you very much, Councilman Nowakowski.
And if you all look into it, also the language barriers, Spanish or bilingual individuals on the other line to actually answer those questions. We've been getting calls about Spanish speakers not being able to get that information in their own language.
May I?
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor.
So I have there's some apps, one of which is I think through Valley Metro, but there appear to be multiple in our market that the private sector has come up with. Are those, they've been remarkably accurate. Are they using schedule time? I thought they were using GPS.
Mayor, Vice Mayor Gallego, it depends on the app.
Okay.
And sometimes, for instance, Google will note on there which routes they're reporting at real-time data and which routes are scheduled data. So we're seeing still a mix of the information. The information is available to these app developers, but not all of them are using the real-time yet. We hope that will continue to transition.
But an exciting opportunity for our city's open data policy, and the more we can make that opportunity available. Obviously, not everyone in our market has a phone, but I think the Valley Metro and our survey showed really significant penetration of cell phones among our.
Correct. The last report indicated that 73% of our passengers do have a smartphone.
Wonderful. And then many others who don't have a smartphone do have the ability to use a text messaging service. I'm very excited to hear about the shade. That was something we hear over and over, and with this week's weather, another reminder. And I love the picture of the stop we had in there, because it looks like the type of shade that provides shade structure that provides shade throughout the day, because we do have some stops that I think shade very well at high noon, but not at typical commuting hours.
Vice Mayor Gallego, I'm laughing only because that's true. With the shade shelter we have, it does a great job of shading the person from about 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock, and then it does a great job of shading either the street or the property behind. So this is one of the things that we're working on, is making sure that when we do go out with, we're looking for a new shade shelter to see what options might be out there to better shade our passengers versus the street or the property behind.
I would love it if we can engage our community and the great artists and designers in coming up with solutions to our more difficult physical spaces, because some of the spaces that don't have shade right now, there's just physical limitations to shade, but I think with the creative designers in our community that we can come up with some innovative designs that can help us with that. And then I have a couple of my issues that I always like to bring up, one of which is I would love it the more we can work on holiday hours, because we do have some holidays where many people are working, and so the holiday hours is something we do here, at least in District 8, that sometimes weekend service on those holidays does disrupt folks. There are other holidays where most people really are off, but many of the holidays, such as on Mondays, a lot of folks are still working.
Right.
But this is great news on the hours, and I think will be very exciting. I've been doing a lot of business visits lately, and we have a lot of, particularly the industrial and manufacturing businesses that are talking about, as the economy ramps up, they're doing a lot of shift work, and they really want to use their facilities around the clock. So there will be jobs for these people, for our residents, if they can get there, and now they'll have a great opportunity for more hours of the day to get there. So a win for our economy and our residents. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Councilwoman Williams.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank staff for working on this. I also want to thank the Congressman. I know he has been very involved, and he's had some very interesting discussions with his commission. The points he brought up, I think the customer service after hours is extremely important. I know the RPTA is very concerned about this as well. So I hope you come up with a creative solution that we can pass on over that can become the solution valley-wide. The surcharge, we get complaints on that all the time. People who are unable to get the tickets prior and have to purchase them on the bus and then have to pay the extra $2. And just plain customer service, having friendly operators that understand and that have the patience for the bikes to get off on and off in a very timely fashion, I think is also something that we continue to work on and strive. But my biggest joy is the Dial-A-Ride, and I want to thank Marvin Rochelle, because people who have to take Dial-A-Ride have been stuck 2 to 4 plus hours waiting to be picked up and returned home, or to be transferred across the city line. It has just been a horrible experience for so many people. And finally, at long last, they will have a smooth ride, know they're secure. We don't have to worry about them being out in the heat or having any other unfortunate experiences along the way, because we've had some bad times with some of these people, or some of these elderly people who were stuck either on a bench or outside a store or outside the doctor's office just waiting, and they've been accosted by other people coming and going. So I'm so glad to hear this. It's only taken us 20 years, but by gosh, we made it. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Stark.
Thank you, Mayor. As a mother of a millennial, he doesn't have a car. Thank you so much for the 30 minutes, and I'm glad to hear you're working on the shade. So I just want to make sure, as you look at the routes and the timing, that you're looking at the circulators, like SMART in the Sunny Slope area. I want to make sure we have connections to the light rail stops and that they connect with the changes in times. But thank you so much for your work on this. This is great. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman. Councilman Waring.
I just want to go back to talking about the GPS. So you know where everything is. It's getting that information to the public. Is that correct?
Correct, Councilman.
Okay.
We do actually publish the data. So I think Public Transit was the first department to provide the open data. And so that information is available to any app developer, with that real-time data. It's just a matter of whether they use the real-time versus the scheduled data.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I was clear on that, because, I mean, we track the garbage trucks, I mean, everything, right? You said every city vehicle.
We do, and it's very important for us to be able to track all of our buses.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Other comments on this one? Okay, Councilwoman Pastor, please.
Regarding the app, is it possible to work with ASU or some of our innovators that we have within the city to build an app so that they use the real time? Or what would it take to build that app within the city? It just doesn't, it sounds like this is possible. It's possible. I think we can explore and see how to do it, especially with some of our young millennials that are at ASU being able to be innovative and create the app in a matter of minutes, really. I'm thinking of a student right now who graduated from Phoenix Union that created a whole business around that's only 23 that we could probably tap into and say, how do we go about doing this? So I just think we need to be more proactive in this manner.
Thank you very much, Councilman Pastor. All right, so the request for a motion. Councilwoman Williams, you have a motion?
I definitely do. I would move approval of staff's recommendations and of the improvements they're going to be making very soon.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Obviously, these were specific to item 2A. We're going to, at the request of the Congressman, we're going to go through them individually. We have a motion and a second. I have two cards on item 2 generally, although it's broken into different parts, so I'll let you decide whether you want to speak now, and I'll certainly accept comments on all of 2, as long as it includes the portions of 2 that involve 2A, the bus improvements and dial ride improvements. Mr. Rick Neymark, followed by Mr. Phil Pangrazio. Mr. Neymark, of course, is the vice chair of our Citizen Committee.
Good afternoon, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Rick Neymark. I live in District 7, and I am a member of the commission. I just wanted to emphasize how important these bus improvements are. When we were talking about Proposition 104, all of the focus of a lot of the big picture talk was about the light rail. But in fact, most of the money in Proposition 104 is going to buses because of the long-term operating costs. And people forget that the bus system is really the workhorse of the transit system, even though lots of people ride the light rail. And these hours improvements and the ones that are to come are really going to transform Phoenix into a bus city. If you think about other major cities in America, you can get a bus very frequently, almost any time of day, on almost any street. And people use buses to take their kids to preschool and to get to and from work from every walk of life. So I just want to compliment you, recommend that you approve this, but also talk about the transformative effect of the bus hours improvements and the frequency improvements in the lives of our community members. I've heard many people say, I'm going to start taking the bus with this, and that's really important. The second thing, since you said we should address, do you want me to go ahead and address streets, or you want me to wait for that item?
It is up to you. If you want to get it all out of the way now, you can. Otherwise, I can call you back up over and over and over and over again.
Well, you know what? I'm going to come back because I want to hear the presentation. Maybe they'll say what I'm going to say.
Fair enough.
So, all right. Thank you.
Phil Pangrazio, who is CEO of Ability 360, another leader of the committee that put together the plan and a great leader on transportation. Mr. Pangrazio.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Phil Pengrazio, as the mayor said, and I am a member of the Citizens Transit Commission. I wanted to just make a couple comments about the regional dial-a-ride enhancements, predominantly just to thank the commission, the Transportation Commission, for bringing this today to the City Council and asking for its approval. As Councilwoman Williams said, and I so appreciate the comments you made about the dial-a-ride issue that's been long in coming, and I'm speaking a lot in behalf of people with disabilities throughout our community, have been waiting a long time for a regionalized plan so that it was going to make using dial-a-ride so much more convenient. It would make it safer, faster. There wouldn't be those situations where people would get left out for possibly hours at a time during the transfers from one city to another. So again, I'm just so appreciative that this is finally happening, and I encourage the City Council to approve the proposed enhancements to our regional dial-a-ride system, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pangrazio. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. One of the exciting components of this is that our bus service and dial-a-ride providers are hiring. And so TransDev, which is one of our bus service providers, is hiring more than 150 individuals, including operators and mechanics, and they've partnered with us on My Brother's Keeper to try to recruit from the population that we're targeting with My Brother's Keeper, which would include young people 16 to 24 who are not working. They do want you to have a GED, but very open to people in our community who want a career job with benefits, which is a really exciting opportunity. And so I'd encourage everyone to help us spread the word about that. And while My Brother's Keeper does mention brothers, they also welcome women and are trying very hard to recruit women into transportation fields as well. And TransDev, our general manager, is a woman. MV Transit, our dial-a-ride provider, is a woman-owned company. So we really do welcome everyone from across the community, and I hope that this new employment will be a win for the future operators, mechanics, and others. So thank you to our partners for helping us with the city's goals.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. All right, we have a motion on 2A, which is the dial-a-ride and bus service improvements. We have a second. Roll call.
Councilman DeCiccio? Yes. Councilman Nowakowski?
Yes.
Councilwoman Pastor?
Yes.
Councilwoman Stark?
Yes.
Councilman Valenzuela?
Yes.
Councilman Waring? Yes. Councilwoman Williams?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Gallego?
Yes.
Mayor Stanton?
Yes, that item passes unanimously. Next will be 2B, light rail update.
Mr. Mayor, before we go to 2B, I made the request, is the council and the mayor willing for the commission to look at what we call customer service and the surcharge?
Okay, that wasn't a formal agendized item, so I don't think we should take a separate vote on that, but I can't imagine there'd be anything but full support for you looking, and we would actively encourage that and appreciate you doing so.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, I will say that those are items that we will bring forward on the next agenda for discussion by the Citizens Transportation Commission.
Thank you very much, Congressman. Light rail update.
Mayor, members of council, very exciting as well on the light rail components, and specifically today I wanted to give you a brief update on 3 light rail extensions that, as a part of the passage of Transportation 2050, we were able to accelerate 2 corridors as well as a 3rd corridor to keep on schedule. So this is a map that you all have seen before, and today we're going to be talking again about 3 corridors. The first one is our South Central Corridor, which will connect the downtown Phoenix area to our Central City downtown, as well as into the South Phoenix community. The second corridor will be the Phase 2 of the Northwest Extension, with Phase 1 opening up this past March. We're happy to give an update on Phase 2, which will connect over to the Metro Center Mall area. And the third extension that we're giving you an update on today would be our Capitol I-10 West Phase 1, which will connect the downtown Phoenix area to the state capitol vicinity. And Mayor, members of council, if I could just take a brief moment before getting into the South Central extension, I would like to give, on behalf of all of the city staff and Valley Metro staff that have worked on this, a very well-deserved public thank you to you, Congressman Pastor. I can say that without your support, your leadership, and overall knowledge of the federal programs, that most likely we may not be able to give this presentation today and where this program is at today. So I would like to give you a public thank you for your leadership on South Central, and a well-deserved round of applause, if we could. And as a part of the South Central, so here's a map that you all again have seen before. It's about a 5.5-mile extension that includes seven stations within those 5 miles. It will travel primarily along Central Avenue from Jefferson to Baseline, and with the passage of Phoenix Transportation 2050, we were able to accelerate this particular extension by 11 years, and we are now very, very happy and excited that this project will be open to the public, to the stakeholders, to people that absolutely need it the most by 2023. So it's a very, very exciting time for us with this extension. The current status that we are working on with South Central, we are scheduled to get our environmental clearance from the Federal Transit Administration in just a couple months here in August, which will then quickly be followed by the major milestone that had been set in front of staff from here at the City of Phoenix, as well as our partners at Valley Metro, from you, Mayor, and City Council, which is our official submittal for consideration into the President's budget. That date will be on September 2nd, 2016. So on that day, we're going to make sure that everyone is aware of it, and we will officially have our submittal in for this project to be considered into the President's budget. So that's a very big milestone for us to accomplish for the city. Mayor, members of council, at a previous council meeting, we talked about an early action business assistance program, specifically focusing on the South Central corridor, given the acceleration that the project is going to be having. And we are happy to let you all know today that the Federal Transit Administration recently announced a planning grant, and the City of Phoenix took the lead as an applicant, and on just a couple weeks ago, on June 9th, we officially put in our submittal for consideration for this grant. And really what this grant's going to allow us to do is to have one-on-one meetings with all of the businesses in the corridor several years before we begin construction, better understand their concerns, their business practices, any kind of resources they need, and also looking at future planning and smart planning around our station areas and trying to make the corridor as vibrant as possible as we prepare for the future light rail extension. The last thing I'd like to mention quickly, Mayor, is that you would ask staff to think bigger and think beyond just the City of Phoenix's resources for business assistance. And so, again, I'm happy to let you know that we are looking at partnering opportunities, and on July 20th, the Ford Foundation has agreed to come here for an entire day and spend 8 hours with us in the South Central corridor. It's in a partnership with the Department of Transportation, our friends over at La Raza Development Fund and LISC and Local First and others. We will all be spending one day together and really looking at how we can collectively prepare early to assist these businesses as we get geared up for the light rail extension. So we're very proud that that's going to be taking place.
Thank you for doing that. That's great.
The next extension we wanted to give you a quick update on, which I know is near and dear to Councilwoman Williams' area there in her District 1, which is the Northwest Extension Phase 2. Here's a map that represents the future alignment, and it will travel along Dunlap, connecting right around 19th Avenue, westbound to the Metro Center vicinity, and we'll get across the I-17. The current status on that is we are currently working with Valley Metro to begin the environmental process, and starting next year, we will begin the official planning process with the Federal Transit Administration for consideration of a small starts application. This project, just like with South Central, was accelerated. The original date was 2026, but with the passage of Phoenix Transportation 2050, we were able to accelerate that project to now 2023. So 2023 is going to be a very big year for us in the light rail program. And keeping on that theme, the last corridor I'd like to give you a quick update on is our Capitol I-10 West Extension, Phase 1. And the map here represents that future extension, and in essence, it's going to be connecting downtown Phoenix, primarily along Jefferson Street, from Central Avenue over to 16th Avenue, providing service between the state capitol and areas in between, connecting into downtown. That project, just like the other two, is scheduled to open in the later part of 2023. And the current status is we recently did complete the environmental assessment on this project, and it's under federal review at the moment. And we will be hearing back from them the first quarter of 2017 and getting our environmental clearance after that. So with that, that kind of concludes my presentation, and it was just for information today on our light rail program and how we were able to accelerate it with the passage of the Phoenix Transportation 2050.
All right, thank you very much for that presentation. Obviously, because the voters have been so supportive of the proposals put before them, we are like to accelerate many of the elements of our previous plan, add new elements to the plan. If we're going to even accelerate more some of the elements that weren't included, I-10 further to west, at previous meetings, and we had mentioned the importance of pursuing public-private partnerships as ways to creative financing, as ways to accelerate it further. Where are we with the exploration of public-private partnerships as a way to further advance our light rail infrastructure proposals?
Mayor and members of the council, the public-private partnership is something that is becoming a bigger part of the transportation industry. That is definitely something that we're looking at for that 11-mile corridor out to 79th Avenue. Soon we're going to be working with Valley Metro as well as with some of our consultants that specialize in that area and really looking at the financial, the technical and legal backgrounds to see how we can use that to be able to accelerate the second phase from 2030 and bring that much sooner into the Maryvale area, which just like other areas are very much need those advancements for transportation. So I think hopefully by later this year, early next year, we'll be able to come back with a formal presentation kind of exploring different options specifically to public-private
All right, good.
partnerships.
I mean, because it's such a long segment, it would make at least common sense that that would be the most viable candidate in our system for a true PPP.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Councilman Stark, please.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, thanks for the presentation. A great update. I really appreciate all the work we do with Valley Metro. I think we're good partners. I just have a quick question on the status of the Northeast extension. You're smiling, but you knew I was going to ask it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor, Councilwoman Stark, on the Northeast Extension, actually next month, July 1, we're going to kick off a feasibility study, and really what it's going to allow us to do is take a very large corridor study area and be more specific as to looking at what alignment options could be, what's going to be the cost effectiveness, meaning how much would it cost versus how much ridership we will be, and we'll shortly be visiting your office to give you a more in-depth update on that, but we will be kicking off a feasibility study, which all of these corridors all initiate with the feasibility study, so we will start that in July.
Thank you very much. Other members of the council, comments or questions? Vice Mayor?
Thank you very much for that update. Some great news. I just marked September 2nd on the calendar for that budget submittal. And I understand that while we are here, there's a lot going on in the rail world in Phoenix outside these walls. So we have welcomed the American Public Transportation Association Rail Conference to our community, and they're very wise folks. They chose the Sheraton. So I assume that is partially in recognition for our commitment to rail, that they chose our community.
Yeah,
and thank you to Howard Steer and the folks who are on that planning committee.
Yeah, Mayor, Vice Mayor Gallego. Yeah, it's great for Phoenix. We are on the national platforms. We have people from literally from all over the world here looking at our system, touring our alignments. In fact, as the Vice Mayor mentioned, we have a delegation from the Federal Transit Administration currently going on a tour of the South Phoenix corridor as we're in this meeting. It's really nice for us, and obviously we've gotten a lot of comments from our friends from throughout the country about our wonderful heat wave that they're experiencing, but they're happy to be here. The mayor and Congressman Gallego did a great job opening up the session yesterday, and it's just been really exciting seeing thousands of public transit, specifically rail professionals here to look at the growth and the support around our system that we have.
Fabulous. And thank you to Congressman Pastor for opening up the Valley Metro Host Forum as well. We had some good news to share, and it's fabulous to have the associate administrator out at South Central now. I understand our Valley Metro Planning Director, who we like to call Mr. Jenny Grote, is out giving a tour. So thank you for having him help us show off our great project and how consistent it is with the administration's Letters to Opportunity initiative. I think it really does accomplish what they set out to accomplish with that initiative. So I'm glad that they're back again to tour, and I'm hopeful that that will carry forward when we have our submission on September 2nd. And I also heard that we came in third in the Rail Rodeo, which was an international competition of operators and maintenance teams, and we won customer service. Our Rose won on behalf of the Valley Metro and Valley community.
Yeah, Mayor, Vice Mayor Gallego. I'll tell you, without having to experience, it's a very prideful. These mechanics and operators take great pride in when they were in the rodeo competition and having our local team do very well, finishing first in something as important as customer service. That was a very proud moment for that team. So we're obviously very happy with that and very proud for those individuals that are a part of that team.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you very much. Other members of the council? Councilman Nowakowski, please.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. I just want to make sure that we continue to advocate for the Maryville community, especially the I-10. I know that we've been to a couple meetings and people are kind of upset because of they feel that the I-10 corridor is being pushed and we're putting other projects in front of it. I just want to make sure that individuals out there in Maryville know that we're going to continue to advocate, that we're going to continue to look for those fundings to make sure that we can revitalize that area. We're looking at the 202 going into the Levine and connecting the I-10 together, and it's just growing out in the West Valley. We have Goodyear, Avondale, Buckeye, all those communities are growing, and there's such a need for light rail down the I-10, so I just want to make sure that we keep our eyes on that and we make sure we don't put other projects before that, before this, the individuals from Maryville, right?
Thank you very much, Councilman. Other comments or questions by members of this council? This is not for action. This is just an update. Congressman Pastor.
Every commissioner was very supportive of the South Central as well as the Northwest and the acceleration of those lines. But we had some commissioners who were wanting us to be very mindful that the Capitol line needed to be continued and that we needed to ensure that the work continued on the at phase one of the Capitol. So there was some concern that we may be backing off that, but we will be cognizant of that area and continue to be supportive of the phase one Capitol extension.
All right, thank you very much. Rick Naymark, do you want to testify on light rail? Phil Pangrazio, anything specific on light rail? I know you were very, very supportive during the whole plan, and obviously some additional light rail stops that might benefit folks who utilize Ability 360. Anything? Thumbs up. All right, good. All right, any other comments or questions, member of the council? Let's move on to Councilman Valenzuela, I apologize.
What are we moving on to?
There'll be 2C next, but if you want to talk about light rail, now's the time to talk light rail.
Yeah, definitely. Northwest Light Rail Extension is working out great. Very excited to have that. We just had the grand opening in March, and 5,000 daily riders have been connected, 7 schools, a hospital, grocery stores, literally hundreds of small businesses. And Albert, thank you for acknowledging Congressman Pastor. Congressman, thank you so much for all of your effort and just being the advocate that you are for, I think, two items that any world-class city needs: infrastructure and education. And you've been there as an unapologetic advocate for both, and you know, the people of District 5 and the people of Phoenix, obviously, you know, we're indebted. So thank you. You know, Albert and the entire Phoenix City staff, thank you so much for all the effort. I will say that that was a process. I remember just entering the Phoenix City Council, and we made that decision to, and with your leadership, Mayor, made that decision to invest and to push the Northwest Light Rail extension and to do it several years early, and it's worked out, and it could not have worked out had it not been for the strong partnership with Valley Metro. And that was a positive experience, you know, and again, Albert, you did a great job. I think everyone on the Phoenix City staff did a great job. I noticed that we have Howard Steer here, who was out in the community as often as any of us were for that project, and John Ferry is also here from Valley Metro. So thank you for being here today, but thank you for being such strong partners. And I'm really excited about getting light rail into Maryvale. I'm excited about the south extension, the west Phoenix extension, and I'd be remiss if I did not. I love Councilwoman Stark is like, she's saying, come on, okay, and the northeast extension, I'm excited about that. But, I look over to my left, and, our strongest advocate for that northwest extension 2, or whatever we're calling it, phase 2, out to Metro Center, Councilman Williams has just been the lead advocate on that, so we're excited about that extension as well. So all good things, all good news, and, couldn't be more excited. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councilman. All right, next we're going to move on to item 2C, proposed citywide traffic signal enhancements.
Mayor and members of the City Council, thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to present this as we put up the presentation. As we look at moving forward, the traffic signal enhancements are very important as a way for the community, and as was mentioned, the investment of the community, I mean, that's a big thing. How do we invest for the community in the way of life? And so as was mentioned, we had looked at a couple of items and focused on 3 main areas: limited street signs, painting of poles, and left turn arrows. And to your far right of your area here, you can see 2 signs that we propped up here. As you can imagine, they're pretty big. One sign is the older version of what's out there, as well as the new version that we have. So that's a comparison that we have. They're pretty big, and if you see them out on the street, you can imagine they look kind of small, but they're actually pretty big. So just to give you an example of that. So kind of looking at where we started, in late 1990s, we instituted this program. For the most part, we do have about 4,000 of these signs across the city, and we've had some challenges trying to maintain them. And as you see these slides here, as there's been storms or vandalism or just regular maintenance, we've struggled to maintain the appearance, and also just for the traveling public and how they look at these signs. Our biggest challenge is trying to address them, and how can we address them in an appropriate way. So this program, this particular aspect is looking at about 2,000 signs to be reconverted from fluorescent lights, the internal workings of the lights, to new efficient LED lights, and they would be upgraded to those new lights. The second focus that we have is signal pole painting. We say, why painting? As you can see, there's just a lot of things that happen to the poles itself. We have the environment, the heat, things like rust that happen to our poles. We have close to 8,000 poles across the city, and just keeping up with them is a challenge. Here, just examples of how they're treated or not treated, and we're trying to make sure that we can treat these appropriately and identify problems before something like this happens, where there's a safety concern. So the key is to make sure that we have the poles being identified, making sure that we have the poles being painted to provide the longevity of this infrastructure. The next thing that we have, the third focus area, is the left turn arrows. We do about 1 to 3 left turn arrows a year. This would be adding another 5 to 7 left turn arrows to the program. This is one example that shows on the left-hand side, shows a left turn bay with a signal ahead of it, and then the photo on the right side shows it being blocked. So the key would be to create an opportunity where there's a mast arm that has a signal head. So this is an example of what we did at 32nd Street at Michigan Avenue, where we had the existing traffic signal on the top left-hand side, and on the bottom right, it's the new mast arm, new controller. But these types of projects cost close to $180,000 specifically, and so we try to do these projects very selective and try to move those as we can. And so this would help us add another 5 to 7 new traffic signals for this program. So first of all, just to say that with the leadership with the Citizens Transportation Commission, they provided approval of this, and then that went to our Transportation Infrastructure Subcommittee, where they also provided approval to recommend it to the City Council and Mayor for.
Thank you very much. I should have introduced you, and maybe introduce yourself as well. Ray Devolin, our Street Transportation Director. Congressman, from the perspective of the committee, it looks like this one was approved unanimously.
We talked about this issue for a while, and the conclusion was that it's something we need to do, but in the monies that are going to be made available, we won't be able to do enough. And so there was some concern that somehow we have a criteria that we deal with greatest need, but knowing that we still need a lot more work to be done on the infrastructure. So maybe as we go down, this is going to go for a few years, that this issue can be continue to be looked at and continue to be an issue to be addressed as we go into the future. But we were very supportive of it and would support the staff recommendation.
Thank you very much, Congressman. I'll now turn to members of the council. Any comments on this item? I think, Congressman, probably you and the committee said it well. We got to do more of this. Very, very important to citizens of Phoenix. Mr. Rick Neymark or Phil Pangrazio, any particular comments on citywide signal enhancements? Mr. Neymark.
Mayor, members of the council, just wanted to remind you that during the dialogue about the crafting of Proposition 104, we were unsure whether streets was even going to be a part of this. And I am extremely glad as a member of the Oversight Committee that we made the decision to do this. And here's just one example. Mr. Zerker was sending me emails on a regular basis, and I was failing in my duties to respond to them because we didn't have the money to be able to deal with these safety improvements. And so by including funding in Proposition 104 for streets, not only are we repairing the condition of streets, which is really, really important and was really the major focus of the funding, but these are important safety issues. It's not just how things look. And in particular, the pole painting and some of the lighting issues that are out there, it's incredibly important for public safety. So I just wanted to emphasize, and I actually want to call out Councilwoman Williams because she really pushed hard on us to include money for streets, and she probably hoped we would even have more money for streets. But you may recall that we did a presentation more than a year ago, I think it was a couple of years ago because Mr. Barrett was still around, and we talked about the gap in funding for streets, and it really had a lot to do with state gas tax money not being available, and also the fact that we hadn't had a bond program in so many years. And so while we didn't completely fill the gap with this proposition money, we really made a dent in it, and people are going to start to notice the difference in the infrastructure that's around. And most people don't think about signal poles or condition of the the wires underneath lights or whatever, but it's really important. Let me just say, since my time is up, you all were praising the staff, but let me just say, as somebody now who sits outside and is not the supervisor of the staff, they're doing an amazing job staffing this commission. And it's not easy because people have a zillion questions, and I just want to compliment them.
They got much better recently.
They did. They're under much better supervision.
All right.
We love Rick Neymark, for those who are watching on television.
Councilman Williams, you have a motion?
I do have a motion, but first I want to say when staff first brought painting poles and those signs to me, I said, what? I thought we passed this to pave streets. Didn't dawn on me until they started showing me some pictures. And then as I traveled around the city, I can tell you we have so many signs that are so bad, you can't even read some of the street names. So it's a very legitimate cause, and I would recommend passing staff's recommendation.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Councilman Waring?
Thank you. So this is something that Ray, you and I, and Ed have discussed. I know it's something that struck a chord with Ed when I brought it up the several times I did, so I'm glad that we're doing something about it. It all stems from poor decision-making in the 90s when these signs were put in with no way to ever replace them. They're, based on the statistics that we were given, they have long outlived what was expected to be their life. So we could have been having this discussion. I mean, that sign you're showing there, 40th Street, is bad enough. I have similar ones certainly all over my district. But, you know, it's a little frustrating that there wasn't the foresight to how we're going to pay to replace these. But these new signs are going to last at least 3 times as long. Is that?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, their service lies between 10 and 15 years. The current sheeting that we have for the signs, they have a 10-year life on them. So currently, about 1,000 of the signs that we have, they still have their service life up to about 5 years. So we're looking at about 10 to 15 years on their service
For
life.
these signs that you're putting in?
Yes, sir.
Now, have we planned ahead for how we're going to, because that's not that long, how long are we planning, how are we planning on paying for the new signs we're going to need in 10 to 15 years?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, as we go and move forward in the next 10 to 15 years, we would have to come back and look at another change out for these signs and looking at this funding to progressively upgrade those signs.
All right, well, it will definitely be an upgrade as you look at the examples over here, because the current, I would say the signs that we've got up that look like the 40th Street sign you have over there are really more blight than helpful in any way. So, and constituents have noticed. So, well, thank you for working on this. A 3-year plan, all the signs are going to be fixed, is that right?
Mayor and Councilman Waring, yes, we have a 2 to 3 year plan. It's actually started this current fiscal year, and we're working through our current funding and then using this additional funding to help us close the gap for the next 2 years.
So, Mayor, about 3 years from now should be done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional comments? So do we have a motion in favor of the staff and subcommittee recommendation? We have a second. Roll call.
DeCiccio? Noakowski?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yes.
Stark?
Yes.
Valenzuela? Yes. Waring? Williams?
Yes.
Gallego?
Yes.
Stanton?
Yes. Next item is 2D, maintenance and pavement for arterial and major collector streets and bicycle facilities for fiscal year 2017.
Mayor and City Council members, again, this is Ray Dovalina with Street Transportation Department. This is another critical component of the Transportation 2050. This is to talk about 2017 arterial pavement maintenance program. As we can see with regards to looking at all of our streets, this is the highest level of treatment that we can do, and I'll just walk through with the examples that we have to treating our arterial system that we're going to be using for these funds. This is just an example of the overlays. We are doing a number of these with this additional funding and leveraging also the current funding that we have across the other types of streets. The next second highest type of pavement treatment is microseal. Both microseal, that's pretty much like the second highest type of level of treatment. These both, the overlay and microseal, are ways to try to introduce bike facilities. So we use these two treatments to look at potentially repurposing streets if we are looking at bicycle facilities. The third one that we're looking at is tire rubber modified surface sealant. This is actually an old but new type of treatment. We had not used this type of treatment, so it's another treatment. Because of the enhancement of this funding, we're able to add this new type of treatment to provide preservation to our streets. And then the last one that we have for the treating all of the streets, including arterials, is crack seal. It's just another element that provides an ability for us to touch all of the streets with regards to the pavement life. So why look at all these types of treatments? So the goal that we're looking at with this Transportation 2050 is to treat every street with some type of pavement treatment every 10 years. So looking at how are we treating our streets and making sure that we're touching every street every 10 years, and looking at 10% of our city streets being touched every year. This shows what we're looking at for the funding of Transportation 2050. We're going to be adding 81 miles of all of those different types of treatments in combination with our non-T2050, our regular AHER funding that we get for addressing all our locals and collector streets. So we're using the leveraging of those funding sources to tackle our pavement issues that we have. So with that, we have the recommendation to the mayor and city council, the staff request city council approve the T2050 2017 arterial pavement maintenance program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dovalina. Before I turn to the council, Congressman, have you had comments on, from the kind of not representing your own viewpoint, but you're trying to do as best you can to represent the commission's viewpoints or thoughts that some wanted to get across on this particular portion of the presentation?
Well, again, if you look at the miles that you have in the 2050 monies available, and you look at the number of miles and the number of miles you have total in the city of Phoenix that qualify, we're starting we're digging ourselves out of a hole. And so with HERF and the 2050 miles, 2050 monies, we understand that, again, priority has to be given to those streets that have the greatest need, and professionally, what would be the type of overlay or type of treatment that will be needed, knowing that many are not going to be treated in the very near future. And so without really trying, with some commissioners, we're starting to get the notion and creeping into the discussion the issue of parity among districts. And so it's an issue that I think you and the council, Mr. Mayor, are going to have to decide how these priorities are going to be determined, so that the issue of parity within the districts and who gets what will not longer be a concern, but the priority given in a professional and need basis.
All right, thank you very much for representing the committee to the best of your ability and making us aware of that. I'll now turn it to members of the City Council. Councilwoman Stark, please.
Thank you. I know I wasn't here, and looking at the Transportation and Infrastructure Subcommittee, there was a recommendation, I'm sure because of the former Councilman Gates, with regards to Thunderbird. And I know there's the issue of parity, but I do welcome this as someone who drives Thunderbird all the time. So hopefully it's still in the schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Stark. Any other comments by members of this council? So can we get a motion on the recommendation of the Citizens Transportation Commission and the Transportation Infrastructure Subcommittee, Vice Mayor?
Move approval of the recommendation.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any final comments? Roll call.
Nowakowski?
Yes.
Pastor?
Yeah.
Stark?
Yes.
Valenzuela? Waring? Williams? Gallego?
Yes.
Stanton?
Yes, so that recommendation passes unanimously. Again, Congressman Pastor, to you and your fellow commission members, we really, really appreciate the good advice of this council and obviously the vibrant debate that went behind it, your personal leadership. It's been said earlier, but let me say it again. We wouldn't be here without your leadership. What we've done on South Central to advance that project so it's even in a position to be submitted for the president's budget this year wouldn't have been possible if you hadn't so successfully fought for the grants, Tiger grants, et cetera, that put us in that position. Obviously, Prop 104 passed because the voters of Phoenix were supportive of our existing transportation infrastructure. They believed in it. We only had that existing infrastructure because of your leadership and advocacy on behalf of the people of the city of Phoenix in Washington. So thank you so much for your long record of successful service. We are here at this level because of you. So thank you for your leadership. And to the staff, outstanding work. Let's keep this going. We're going to keep getting pushed by myself and other members of the council. We want those groundbreakings as quickly as possible. It is so important after the voters voted to provide us those resources that they see results. And I know they're going to see results in the very near future when we have the groundbreakings on street improvements and bus service improvements, but they want to see it on the light rail side as well. Congressman, if you had any additional thing to add. Okay. Thank you very much. Good work. Next item on the agenda is, really of little importance, water. I mean, is water really important to the city? Oh, yes, it is. All right. So we're going to have a very important water resources update. I, as mayor, have asked for this to come more regularly before the city council. I know we have a committee that deals a lot with water-related issues, but water is of utmost importance to the city of Phoenix to make sure that we are well positioned during times of drought and during times of climate change, that we have the plans in place to make sure that the citizens of Phoenix have appropriate water resources now into the future, how important it is that we are an incredibly resilient city in light of the drought conditions and increasing temperatures and all the unique challenges that we have as a large desert large city in the Sonoran Desert. So water is as important as any other issue that we deal with here at the City of Phoenix. So I wanted the opportunity to have our staff come before us on a regular basis to give us an update on how well we are doing and address other issues that may be coming before us in the not too distant future. Ms. Peters, Deputy City Manager, who leads our water department. I know you have a few words, and then you're going to kick it over to Catherine Sorensen, our Water Services Director. Please.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Mayor, you said it better than I was planning to say it. So we will be giving you an update today about the status of our water resources in the context of the ongoing drought and what staff is doing to maintain the sustainability of our water supplies. This has gotten a lot of attention in the community and the media lately, and so we're very pleased to be here to give you an update and answer any questions. With me today are, as you said, Mayor Catherine Sorensen, Director of the Water Services Department, as well as Cynthia Campbell, the city's water policy advisor. So I'm going to ask them to take it from here.
Mayor, City Council, thank you so much for having us today. I'm going to introduce Cynthia Campbell. She's actually relatively new in this role. We stole her from the law department. We convinced her to come over to the dark side, the policy side. We're very excited to have her. She's going to kick us off today.
Good afternoon, Mayor Stanton, members of the council. Director Sorensen and I are here today to give you an update on drought conditions in the Southwest and the impacts to Phoenix water supplies. As you can see from this slide, as of June 14th, Phoenix is still in a long-term drought. California is in an extreme to exceptional drought, as you can see depicted in red, while central Arizona, including Phoenix, is in a moderate drought. Although we are in the 16th year of drought, it is important to know that Phoenix has a culture of conservation with regard to its water supply. Phoenix Water integrates its view of supply and demand in that we look at both simultaneously and then review them for additional efficiencies. Through Water Use It Wisely, as well as other similar educational efforts, Phoenix customers have adapted their water uses in ways that work best for them. Phoenix encourages a culture of conservation, and it is paid off in spades. Although our population has grown steadily since the 1990s, our water use has gone down in the same period of time, represented by that greenish yellow line. Today, Phoenix consumes less water than it did 25 years ago, though its population has increased by over 400,000 people. Phoenix customers continue to embrace a desert lifestyle. Phoenix has a diversified water portfolio with redundant sources. In a typical year, a little more than half of Phoenix's water supply comes from the Salt and Verde River supplies delivered through SRP. Approximately 1/2 of our water supplies come from the Colorado River, and a very small percentage, approximately 2%, come from groundwater supplies because we're saving that supply for a time of extended drought when we have other issues, if ever, on our other supply systems. With regard to the Salton Verde River supplies, the city has senior water rights on the Salton Verde River, mostly through SRP, but we also have some additional water rights that are independent of SRP that are represented in blue. SRP supplies are tied to specific geographic areas of the city, so there are some limitations as to where that water can be used. The city uses approximately 1/2 of its annual SRP supplies and generally does not use the water from its independent water rights. In addition to the Salton Verde supplies, Phoenix has a subcontract for an allocation of Colorado River water through the CAP. The city's allocation is the second largest municipal subcontract in Arizona, with Tucson having the largest municipal allocation. As you may know, the Colorado River is currently under stress from drought and climate change, while the city's salt and Verde supplies are more resilient than that. Currently, the city uses about 2/3 of its annual Colorado River allocation. The city also stores some of its Colorado River water underground, including in Tucson through its unique exchange partnership funded by the Colorado River Resiliency Fund.
So this is all good, but you guys have seen this in the paper. Shortage is coming on the Colorado River. And once we enter into shortage, it's really important to note that shortage will probably become the new normal. Once we go into shortage conditions, it's relatively difficult to get back out. The good news, though, for us is that really there's no impact to us on our water supplies, at least for quite some time to come. And even then, we have resiliency in supplies that we can fall back on. So let me explain that to you. So within the Colorado River system here in Arizona, there are different priorities of uses of water, and the lowest priority supplies get cut first during times of shortage. So I've listed them here kind of based on who uses those supplies. A Tier 1 shortage on the Colorado River is declared when Lake Mead elevations fall to 1075, and the cut to Arizona is about 320,000 acre-feet a year. Really, that just impacts the water available to the Arizona Water Banking Authority, which currently is banked underground for drought, and also to the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District, and it cuts in a little bit to what is available for agricultural uses. A Tier 2 shortage is declared at Lake Mead elevations 1050. The cut to Arizona is 400,000 acre-feet. And you can see here at a Tier 2 shortage, really the water available for agriculture in central Arizona is gone. At Tier 3, there are some impacts to municipal supplies. This occurs at elevation 1025 in Lake Mead. It's about a 480,000 acre-foot cut to Arizona. But remember that the city of Phoenix does not use all of the Colorado River water to which it is entitled. So even though at a Tier 3 shortage, there would be a cut to some of the supplies available to Indian communities and municipalities, we still don't expect that this would impact us. But you, of course, have seen in the papers that there are some discussions going on currently between Arizona, California, and Nevada about how to deal with shortages on the Colorado River and really how to increase resiliency on the system. Any kind of interstate deal between the lower basin states of Arizona, California, and Nevada also requires a fairly complicated agreement here in Arizona between the users of Colorado River water in central Arizona, and that would be cities, agricultural districts, Indian communities, and even mining interests. Those conversations are only just now underway. So there'll be more to come on that in the next year. It'll be an interesting year on the Colorado River. Those conversations are just not quite ripe at this time to bring forward. But let me put this in some full context for you. As we plan for the future, we of course estimate what we think our supplies are going to be. And naturally, we estimate what we think our demands are going to be. But the future is very uncertain. We know that climate change will have an impact on us. We don't know exactly how or to what extent, but we know it won't be good. We know it's going to get hotter and drier. So we look at a range of scenarios. We look at full supply availability, severe shortage, and of course, high demand scenarios and low demand scenarios. And you guys have seen this before, but I couldn't help showing you one more time. It's this area here that we worry about. These are the scenarios where everything is stacked against us, everything goes wrong. These are our black swan events. These are our large, extreme, unexpected events that could have pretty catastrophic consequences. That's what we plan for. Oh, sorry, yeah, it moves still.
Yeah, good graphic.
You guys saw that last time. But it is for exactly those types of extreme events that we have so carefully protected our groundwater over the last 30 years. This is exactly why we are using the Colorado River Resiliency Fund to store water in Tucson aquifers. This is why the Arizona Water Bank has been storing Colorado River water underground in central Arizona aquifers for the last 30 years. We've also stored Colorado River water here in local aquifers on our own, just through our own efforts. And of course, the city of Phoenix has rights to about 3.6 million acre feet of groundwater. And I want to put this in perspective for you because this is really important. What this means, it's a lot of numbers up there, but what it really means is that this is a 35 to 40 year supply that we could use to replace our Colorado River supplies entirely. We don't expect that our Colorado River supplies would be gone for 35 to 40 years. But again, when we talk about black swan events and really preparing for worst case scenarios, that's what we're looking at. So this is a lot of resiliency that we've managed to build up. And we planned it that way. And really, I think it's important to understand this in a really broad context. What the community of Phoenix, what the citizens of Phoenix have done over the last 100 years to prepare for exactly these kinds of extreme events is really incredible. We have some of the most progressive water supply, water sustainability efforts in the nation. So everything from building Roosevelt Dam to bring the Salt River Project to central Arizona, bringing Colorado River water into central Arizona, the Groundwater Management Act, the Assured Water Supply Rules, the way that we have stored and protected groundwater for the future. This all needs to be understood in a really broad context. And these are decisions that we have made over decades, and we have invested hundreds of millions, billions of dollars into these efforts. So what's next? So it's great that we have these redundant supplies. That's a really good thing for us. But we need to make sure that we can access the groundwater when we need to. And so we're going to spend some time over the next few years really making sure that we have wells in the places where we need them to respond to extreme events. We're also going to make sure that we have the right transmission mains in the right places. It's important to keep in mind that we have a 540 square mile service territory. That's a really big service territory. We need to make sure that we can move water exactly where it needs to go when we need it during those extreme events. Of course, we'll continue our efforts to store water in Tucson. That's been a tremendous partnership for us of great value to both communities. And we'll continue our watershed protection and restoration efforts. Without healthy watersheds, we don't have healthy rivers, and then we don't have resilient water supplies. And with that, we're happy to take any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you very much for the outstanding and substantive report, kind of where we are right now at this moment. Now, we took it from the City of Phoenix perspective, as we would expect, but obviously the City of Phoenix is in a Valley of the Sun, and we're in the state of Arizona, and we have to be cognizant of that. I mean, as well as we have done, we need to make sure that we as a state are successful when it comes to water planning, resiliency efforts, planning for climate change, the unique circumstances that we are dealing with. You talked about moving water around Phoenix. Obviously, that was one of the reasons why, after a few years of not seeking any change to the water rate in the city of Phoenix, you asked this council to support the department, your recommendation to change the rates so that we could provide the resources necessary to fund moving the water around Phoenix. Maybe take a little deeper dive. Why is that so important for our water planning and resiliency efforts here in the city of Phoenix?
So, Mayor, Council, what I would say, as Water Services Director for the City of Phoenix, I worry about a lot of things. But what I worry most about is infrastructure. The fact is that really we have resilient supplies, but we have some plumbing issues. And if we don't see to those plumbing issues, if we don't take care of that infrastructure, it doesn't matter what your legal availability of water supply is. It also needs to be physically available. And that's something that just over the next, I would say, 2, 5, 7 years is something that we're just really going to have to focus in on. It's important that we have wells where we need them. It's important that we have large transmission mains that feed our system across that 540 square miles.
And we passed the Colorado River Resiliency Fund as almost a symbol that, we're not just Phoenix looking out for Phoenix, we're doing things that are benefiting the entire state of Arizona, utilizing our water right. It may not be obvious to people why forest restoration, hours from Phoenix, is good for the state of Arizona, but more importantly, good specifically for the citizens of Phoenix. How does that benefit our water system here in the city of Phoenix, forest restoration projects, working with the National Forest Foundation?
So, Mayor, Council, I can give you a really concrete example of that. So, about 5-6 years ago now, when there was a fire on the watershed, it had really devastating consequences for us. And we had to update our water treatment plant infrastructure to deal with the quality of water that was coming down the SRP canals. We spent about $25 million responding to those events. If we don't have healthy, productive watersheds, we incur real costs. Our ratepayers incur real costs. So it's about quality, it's also about quantity, but it's about making sure that we have really healthy watersheds. That adds to the resiliency of our supplies.
Okay, I really appreciate that. And, for us as elected officials, for me in particular, talking about water, which is one of the questions all of us get asked a lot about, we're in this kind of awkward dance. People read about the drought that we are in, the worst drought in recorded Phoenix history, this 14 years now of drought. People are concerned about it. What does it mean for their futures, their family future, the business climate here? And yet you would watch this report and say, well, great, we're actually in pretty good shape. And we're in that awkward position where we don't want to oversell how difficult things may be, but we don't want to undersell it either. We want to make sure we're providing accurate information to the people of Phoenix and the people of Arizona overall. And so this presentation has been very, I think, helpful in that regard to kind of accurately put in place where we are from a water resources perspective. Now, some may say, well, wait a minute, does Phoenix have too much water? And how important it is, and maybe you could help us so that we can get out and make the case to the community, how important it is that we utilize or protect all of our water supply. How important is it going to be for long-term resiliency here in the city of Phoenix?
So, Mayor, Council, the answer is that never too much. One of the things that we do very intentionally is front load the acquisition of our supplies. We make sure that we have a really strong buffer now so that we can grow into those supplies, so that we can attract the types of industrial and manufacturing industries that bring high quality jobs to our community, so that investors feel comfortable and safe locating here. That's really important to us. We front load those supplies so that we can grow into them, but in the meantime, they provide us with an excellent buffer for times of shortage on the Salton Verde system and on the Colorado River system. It's important for us to also recognize that it is difficult for people to sometimes comprehend that we can have planned so well in a desert city to make sure that we have sustainable and resilient supplies. I get that. But I think people also need to understand and recognize that it is precisely because of our daily reality of hot and dry. It is what we live every day that we have planned for these scenarios. It is actually because of our desert perspective that we have built over decades and decades to make sure that we have adequate supplies.
The way I phrase it is that, City of Phoenix has water challenges. We're still in these drought conditions. We don't know how long they're going to continue, whether they're going to accelerate in those conditions. We have to do our part, make sure we're doing our part on conservation, make sure we're doing our part on building the infrastructure necessary so that we can move the water around for resiliency purposes. We need to be doing our part on forest restoration, which doesn't seem like an obvious thing for the city of Phoenix ratepayers to be helping to finance. But when explained here today, it makes perfect sense. We need to be doing our part, but I'd rather be in the position of the city of Phoenix than almost any other water user in the state of Arizona. In your opinion, does that sort of accurately describe where we are from a water position? We got to mind our P's and Q's, but we're better off than almost any other entity within the state of Arizona.
Mayor, City Council, I would say we've done well. But of course, we work very collaboratively with all of our neighbors, with fellow cities, with agricultural districts, with the Indian communities. We're all in this together, right? But no, you're right. We have planned very well, and we're proud of that. But we continue to strive in that regard. It's never going to be enough. We're always going to have to do more as the climate changes, as we face a very uncertain future. We're just going to have to continue to press, and that's what we're going to do.
Can you talk a little bit, just and real quick, and I'll hand over to the members of the council, the relationship between what happens in Maricopa County and Southern California? What is that relationship as it kind of concerns Colorado River? I think the concerns people have is that we don't want to engage in even more conservation. We're so far ahead of the curve. California has only recently done it through the orders of Governor Brown, although those cities have very successfully done it. The relationship between our conservation efforts and their conservation efforts and how they play off each other, if I've even accurately described it. Maybe you could do better than I just did about the relationship between what happens in Southern California, what happens here in Arizona as it relates to the Colorado River.
So, Mayor, City Council, what I would say is that the Southwest often gets painted with a broad brushstroke, right? And LA and Phoenix are, some of the largest cities in the Southwest, and so we're often lumped together in terms of water supply issues. The fact is, though, that the rights that Southern California enjoys to the Colorado River are senior to ours. And we get cut first before the cities of Southern California would experience any kind of shortage on the Colorado River. But it is exactly for that reason that we do work collaboratively to have these conversations about resiliency on the Colorado River. And it is for that reason that we build our own resiliency here in the state with partners like the City of Tucson to make sure that we can, be ready for those types of impacts.
Okay, now turn over to other members of the council. Questions or comments with our water experts from the City of Phoenix? Councilman Stark, please.
Mayor, I just want to say thank you. This is an important issue, and I like the idea of giving us updates on it. Are you planning quarterly or?
At least. I mean, it's very important, and I've really challenged Catherine and her team, especially on the issue of the very cutting-edge Colorado Resiliency Fund, which the White House recognized our department for being a cutting-edge practice, to be innovative and come up with other ideas about how we can, thinking outside the proverbial box, do more to support other projects, not just the National Forest Foundation, but other projects through our resources statewide to improve our water position. So we want to get these updates regularly and then also hear Catherine's and her team's very innovative ideas about what more. I think you're going to have a very receptive council on how we can be at the cutting edge. And I think there's a role for cities when it comes to water beyond what our traditional role has been. We've normally deferred to Department of Interior or Department of Water Resources. I personally think it's critical that City of Phoenix probably have a louder voice than in the past on water issues in light of where we are with these drought conditions. As the old saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. When it comes to water, that probably is going to be the case. We need to be at the table as a city and not defer that negotiation to anybody else, but do it for ourselves.
Mayor, and I appreciate that and thank you. And I must say, when the American Planning Association had their national planning conference here, it was I was so incredibly proud of the fact that the rest of the country was looking at how Arizona and how the City of Phoenix deal with water issues. We are a leader, so I think this is an important issue. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilman Stark, for being a leader in bringing the American Planning Association to the heart of the city. Alcohol sales went up significantly during the days that they were here. Other comments by members of the council? No request for action by this council? Thank you for the update. Excellent work. Appreciate it very much. Without there being no further business before the City Council, our policy session is adjourned.